all the participants to our webinar. Dear participants, today's webinar is basically dedicated to the first president of Kazakhstan on his 80th birth anniversary and also the leadership phenomena of the first president of Kazakhstan. First of all, I would like to request Major General Syed Khalid Amir Jaffery to formally begin this session. He is the president of Center for Global and Strategic Studies.
Thank you, Mehreen. First of all, I would like to welcome all the participants, especially His Excellency, the Ambassador of Kazakhstan. And I would like to congratulate His Excellency, the Ambassador, the people of Kazakhstan on this very auspicious occasion of the 80th birthday of His Excellency, Mr. Nursultan Nazarbayev, the former first president. As all of you know, Pakistan was among the first few countries which recognized Kazakhstan when it gained independence in December 1991. Diplomatic relations were established the next year during an official visit by President Nursultan Nazarbayev. Pakistan and Kazakhstan enjoy cordial relations based on a common approach towards world issues as well as mutual understanding, Islamic brotherhood, and goodwill towards each other. President Nursultan himself stated, and I quote, that I will never forget that Pakistan is one of the first countries to recognize our independence. Since Kazakhstan is landlocked, Pakistan provides the natural routes and connectivity in the Eurasian heartland with the Arabian Sea. Interestingly, the area of Kazakhstan is approximately 3 times that of Pakistan, with a population of only about 18 million, less than Karachi. It is the world's largest landlocked country and the 9th largest country in the world. It is the largest country in Central Asia, economically generating 60% of the region's GDP, primarily through oil and gas reserves. It is also a country which is partially in Europe and partially in Asia. I have had the opportunity of visiting Kazakhstan a number of times and have seen the progress made by the country over the years. The remarkable development can be single-handedly attributed to the first president, His Excellency, Mr. Nursultan Nazarbayev. In those early days of independence, it was because of his strong and charismatic personality that Kazakhstan proceeded on the path to progress. He himself came from a humble background, but he made his way up during the ex-Soviet times through his sheer dedication and hard work. He was responsible for many reforms and was re-elected repeatedly due to his popularity. He outlined a forward-looking strategy called the Kazakhstan 2050 strategy, which has greatly benefited Kazakhstan. In 2014, a multi-billion-dollar domestic modernization plan was also introduced. He shifted the capital to Astana, now Nur Sultan, like Pakistan did from Karachi to Islamabad. He resigned in March 2019, but continues to remain a member of the Constitutional Council and the lifetime post of Chairman of the Security Council. There is much that we can learn from His Excellency, Mr. Nur Sultan. He will be remembered for his dynamic personality and leadership qualities. The baton has been taken over by His Excellency, Mr. Qasim Yomad Tokayev, who has already moved forward with reforms and policies for further developing the country. With his wide experience, both domestic and international, he is sure to take the country forward to new heights of prosperity. And we wish the people of Kazakhstan and His Excellency, Mr. Nur Sultan, a very long life in future also, and may he keep on guiding Kazakhstan. Thank you.
For our next speech, I would like to request His Excellency Akan Rakhmetullin, the Ambassador of Kazakhstan to Pakistan, to please give his views on the topic.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the CGSS for the organizing this very important for us event, webinar, and to which we pay particular attention. Indeed, soon we will be celebrating, commemorating the 80th anniversary of our first president, the leader of the nation, His Excellency Nazarbayev, which is very symbolic date, and for the whole Kazakhstan and for all of us, Kazakh citizens and Kazakh people. I am really pleased and honored, and I am very proud to be ambassador here of Kazakhstan to Pakistan. There are several reasons for that, and General Jaffery mentioned that Pakistan was among few countries who recognized the independence of new independence of Kazakhstan. I would like just to clarify, to be more precise, Pakistan was number 4 among the countries who recognized the independence of my country, after Turkey, Romania, Russia, and Pakistan. And then came the United States, China, etc., etc. So Pakistan was the first country. The second reason is that my first ever posting abroad as a diplomat was here to Islamabad. I served here in 1994 and 1996, and I can see the difference, and I can see the dynamic in which Pakistan is being developing, and since that time. And great influence to that, of course, was made by our leaders, both Pakistani leaders and Kazakhstan leader. And I would like to compare our president, our first president, Elbasy, Mr. Nazarbayev, with the father founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Quaid-e-Azam. Both of them would have dreams, great dreams about sovereign, independent and successful country. Both of them had far-sighted and strategic mind and visionary mind. And both of them succeeded in bringing their visions to a reality. Now we can see that both countries are strong and developing successfully, encountering different challenges. The content and essence of our presidents, our first president, is laid in his multifaceted activities to create the foundation of the true sovereignty, building of an effective economy, creation of a harmonious society, and identification of our people, and identification of priorities for the country development at the latest stage of national history. And these are the arguments to recognize Elbasy Nazarbayev as the founding father of our modern statehood and true leader of the nation. And historical phenomenon of Nursultan Nazarbayev lies in the fact that he managed to consolidate the creative potential of the nation and mobilize society for a powerful breakthrough into this future, which is a figurative name in the world, leap of the Kazakhstan Panther. I have witnessed, my age allows me to say this, I was born during Soviet time, and then I witnessed how Soviet Union collapsed and new independent Kazakhstan emerged, and how Nursultan Nazarbayev was standing there. He's a really charismatic person, and it is not out of the blue that he became the leader, because from the very beginning, when he was a boy, then he started working, he started studying in different colleges and universities. He always indicated and manifested himself as the real leader, because he was thinking about his country, about people, how to improve the life, how to improve well-being of the people, improve how to develop the country, though we were the part of the Soviet Union. And after we gained independence, of course, he continued. He applied all his efforts to develop, to bring the country to prosperity. During the period of Nursultan Nazarbayev presidency, from 1992 through 2019, under his leadership, Kazakhstan made a powerful cast out for the 50 leading countries from the unknown post-Soviet territory to the third world, And I would like to just enumerate the number of his achievements, achievements of Elbasy Nazarbayev and achievements of my country, of Kazakhstan, during this period. the main issue was to create the secure and safe condition for my country in new conditions, and there was different dimensions to go through. First, of course, we defined state borders of the sovereign Kazakhstan. We have them all delimited and demarcated because we can witness how many cases when the disputed territories or state borders may cause some troubles, many troubles and tensions. We don't have any border or territory disputed with our neighbors. The apex of that was that in 2018, the Convention on the Legal Status of the Caspian Sea was adopted by 5 leaders of the Trans-Caspian Seas, Trans-Caspian states. This having brought long-lasting legal issue to its solution. Now we don't have any dispute, any tension around this, around the Caspian Sea. The second step is the second dimension is formation of the market economy, because during Soviet time it was planned economy. Of course, it had its advantages, disadvantages, but in new conditions we had to transfer to market economy, which is proved to be the best model of economic development. Of course, once the Soviet Union was collapsed, we were torn apart from all the processes, all the integrated infrastructure and connections within the former Soviet Union. For example, Kazakhstan was just oil and other mineral resources, hydrocarbon resources, excavating country, but we didn't have sufficient and up-to-the-date processing base industry. Because, for example, we got oil from western part of Kazakhstan, then sent it to Russia for processing, and then we got processed resources from other part of Russia to other part of Kazakhstan. Then it was just torn away, and that was one of the biggest issues and challenges for Kazakhstan. And we managed to restore, to attract. The main idea was to attract as many and as much as possible foreign investors and foreign investments both. And during our independence, we invested 320 billion foreign direct investment to the economy of Kazakhstan. Now we're trying to overcome our dependence from hydrocarbons and other mineral resources to which Kazakhstan is rich, and we're trying to diversify our economy. Among them are innovation and high techs. We are now trying to develop our innovative bases to attract more green economies, new technologies, high technologies. We also continue our work to invest foreign investors. I know that particularly this time, during Corona time, that foreign investors are becoming more selective and it's more difficult. Now it's kind of even hunting for foreign investors, and maybe Kazakhstan and Pakistan are the same position in trying to attract as many foreign investors. And we, for example, we create very conducive conditions for them, legislative and all the structural conditions for investors to come to Kazakhstan and to avoid any risks possible. We also develop Kazakhstan, as General Jaffery very rightly mentioned, being the biggest landlocked country. We have to divert the landlockedness into land connectedness. We are trying now to develop our transit and transport potential. As Pakistan being the part of the CPEC, Kazakhstan is a part of the same structure, systemic structure, One Belt, One Road initiative initiated by China. And we represent the kind of huge bridge between China and Western world. Through our territory goes the huge inflows of services, of goods, of commodities, etc. So we have to develop that, and we have to use our transit potential to it most. And very important issue also, we, for example, see Pakistan as an example how to develop the small and medium-sized enterprises, because it is really very developed here, and very experienced people here, and we also work on that. And these are again one of the other issues and other, I would say, dimensions to cooperate with Pakistan. And this dimension we develop in Kazakhstan. The development of medium and small size enterprise is the engine of the economic growth. Among other successful developments or decisions and achievements by our first president, Mr. Nazarbayev, is the creation and construction of new capital, Astana, now Nur Sultan. We moved there in 1997. There were some reasons, and we geographically decided to relocate our capital to be for it to be located in the center. It's a transport node. It's a geographical center of Kazakhstan, and we just unloaded, I would say, overcrowded part of Kazakhstan, which is southeast part of Kazakhstan, which was really overcrowded, highly populated, to Astana, that time Akhmola. So we succeeded. Now it grew up. Now it's from 300,000 population. Now it became almost 2 million population city, very developed, very. And I'd like to use this opportunity to invite you all to Kazakhstan when these things are over, just to see, to enjoy, and I think you will see how beautiful it is and how developed it is, our new capital. Well, and I would like to touch upon the foreign policy of Kazakhstan, because during this almost 30 years of our independence, we have been developing in a rapid way. And as I mentioned, the main issue was, the main challenge was to create a belt of security and safety for Kazakhstan around. And we are located between two giants, like between China and Russia. We have Central Asia. On our south, we have Caspian Sea, unresolved by that time. We have further on surrounding of different countries with different political, economic preferences and development patterns, like Arabic countries, like South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Western countries as well. And the main and the most justified way to preserve our independence, to protect ourselves from external challenges, was to adopt such a model of foreign policy which would fit our needs for that time, and it will still need that. And it was called multivectoral foreign policy, but we call it multidimensional, multivectoral. So meaning that we have equal and even relations with other, with all countries in the world. Of course, as I said, the closest circle, our neighbors, Russia, China, and South Asia, CIA countries, Southeast Asia, G5, and the rest of the world. Then we also became members of almost all international regional organizations, security, economic, cultural, etc., etc. We're also a reliable member of those organizations. One of the main achievement and diplomatic victories in our foreign policy, I would name that we have we abandoned voluntarily the fourth largest nuclear arsenal, which is located in Kazakhstan, in the Semipalatinsk region, eastern part of Kazakhstan. We suffered a lot, our people suffered a lot. There were about 500 nuclear explosions at test, air, underground, surface explosions, and you can imagine how harmful they were, how much detriment they brought to the population of Kazakhstan, to its economy, and still we suffer from that. Still we cannot use the huge territory of the polygon of the Semipalatinsk nuclear test site for the agriculture purposes and other purposes of our people. But after having, abandoned from this nuclear weapon, we gained the role of a very responsible and very reliable partner. We were not, I remember that time we received, when the Soviet Union was collapsed and we inherited some part of the nuclear weapon from Soviet Union, we received a lot of proposals from various countries. not to abandon them, not to get rid, but to keep it, to share it, and for example, to still be nuclear power. But the only viable decision, the only right decision was to get rid of them, because otherwise we would not have been protected, and our potential, our capacity did not allow us, for example, to maintain that amount of nuclear weapon. Particular attention we applied to peace and harmony, because Kazakhstan is the home for more than 130 ethnic groups and about 20 various religious denominations. And the initiative of our first president was to engage them all, engage spiritual leaders into elaborating some ways, considering ways how to develop the world, how to settle down different conflicts and tensions. And he initiated and he convened the Congress of the World and Traditional Religious Leaders. And in 2018, we hold 6 in a row. It is being held triennially every 3 years, and Pakistani spiritual leaders also attend that Congress of Leaders. And it shows and it reflects how Kazakhstan treats its people, its multi-dimensional and diverse population in terms of ethnicities and in terms of religious belongings, like an equal and like homogeneous population of people of Kazakhstan. Also, our president initiated the so-called SICA process, which is Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia. And it was also a unique entity. I also worked as a diplomat for that, to convene the first summit ever of this organization, of this conference. And the uniqueness of this entity is that countries, like being not friendly countries among each other, they're members of the same entity, working at the same table, bringing up the some concrete solutions and practical solutions. Pakistan and India, for example, Israel, Iran, and Palestine are the members of this conference, which are now we're trying to institutionalize that, to turn it into a full-fledged organization. And we're very grateful that Pakistan is helping us in that regard. We also served, and it also was by the initiative of Elbasy Nazarbayev, to be a mediator on various tensions and conflicts. You remember there were tensions between Russia and Turkey, and our president, being very authoritative and being respected by both leaders, by leaders of both countries, he applied his efforts and he brought them together. And this is thanks to his efforts, to his enthusiasm. The relations between Turkey and Russia, they improved much. They became much better. Also, we convened in Astana that time the so-called Astana process to bring to an end the Syria crisis. We held a number of meetings there, and of course they were successful to much extent. Of course, it did not solve the issue, which is still on there, but it was it gave more steps and like exchange of dead bodies, exchange of prisoners, ceasefire. They were all adopted in Astana during the Astana process, and these are, I would say, the contributions to peace made by our first president. And in conclusion, I would like just to mention that our first president, he's recognized by the world community as the leader, and he was called the architect of modern Kazakhstan, the Kazakhstan model of statehood. The international community as a whole, and in particular the major statesmen of the world, value Elbasy as an independent, equal partner who always has its own vision on the situation. For example, the British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher of that time, she spoke of Nazarbayev as one of the most famous and respected politicians. And I would like to quote, "Today the world knows 5 or 6 influential politicians, including Nursultan Nazarbayev. He found the optimal balance between the national interests of a young, grown, independent state in global trends and the world development. That is the success of our Kazakhstan state. Having built a strong Kazakhstan and proposing a long-term plan to bring the country to a leading position, Sultan Nazarbayev realized the centuries-old aspiration of the Kazakh people for an independent, stable, and respected state. Having identified the main prospect for the development of Kazakhstan, the first president created the basis for the confidence of the people of Kazakhstan in their future. Elbasy laid the strong foundation of independent state. We are developing confidently, successfully, and through reforms, overcoming all the internal, external challenges we may have to face here. And today, his successor, President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, is now continuing the main strategies development trend in Kazakhstan and bringing. Are you hearing me? Yeah, and bringing new aspiration to make Kazakhstan strong, even stronger, and more prosperous country, reliable international partner, including for Pakistan. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your valuable comments and valuable speech. Dear participants, the first president of Kazakhstan spent his entire life to combat the challenges to make Kazakhstan a progressive country. Now I would like to request Dr. Sobia Khurram. She is Director External Linkages, University of the Punjab, Lahore, to please give a few comments.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all the participants of the webinar are doing well under the ongoing COVID-19 challenges all around the world. I would like to start by acknowledging the Center for Global and Strategic Studies for organizing this webinar and for giving me this opportunity to contribute. And not only to contribute, but also to represent my university. I am from University of the Punjab, which is the oldest and the highest seat of higher learning in Pakistan. So very glad to be here. Now, today, the title of the webinar is The Leadership Phenomena of Nursultanbayev. And yesterday, while I was preparing for the webinar today, I was going through one of his biographies, and obviously I noted some of the things which have already been covered, that he is, he's the founding president of Kazakhstan after independence from the Soviet Union. He is the current chairman of the Security Council of Kazakhstan. He is very popular in the country, and he enjoys the title of the leader of the nation. And obviously I couldn't help but to make a comparison with our founding leader, who's Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who also enjoys the title of Quaid-e-Azam, which translates to great leader. While I was going through his biography, I noticed his humble beginnings, his hard work, particularly in his early years, his very good academics. He worked very hard through his early years. Joins the Communist Party in 1962, and then rose his way upwards till becoming the first president in 1990. And then obviously assuming that position for decades to come. Now, what I would be focusing on today would be on his leadership style, particularly at the time of crisis. Now, he took over charge of the country when the country gained independence from the mighty Soviet Union. Now, that in itself represents a time of crisis. And since we are discussing his leadership phenomena, and we are also going through an international crisis these days in which all the successful leaders have to demonstrate certain mindsets, certain behaviors to lead their countries during the time of crisis. I think there are 5 main leading mindsets or behavior behaviors that we could learn from the life of Nur Sultan Bayov, and they are the lessons for, there are lessons for all the countries out there. Now, I am an academic, so I am going to bring some theory over here, but obviously that theory would be relating to the leadership style. Now, while I was going through his biography, there were 5 main lessons which I drew while I was going through that. The first one was organizing the network of teams. No leader can gain power and then assume power and then continue with that power if they want to work alone. They have to organize a network of team. They have to delegate. They have to have people around them who are successful, and that is what we see through the leadership style of Nur Sultan Bayov, that he empowered decision makers around him to independently take decisions in different domains, and then that obviously contributed to his own success as a leader. Secondly, a very interesting concept was demonstrating both bounded optimism and deliberate calm, a combination of both of them. I see a combination of both of these in his leadership style. Now, when I use the word bounded optimism, that means confidence combined with realism. We want leaders who are confident, but we don't want leaders who are overconfident and who are detached from the realities. They have to keep an eye on the reality, and at the same time, they have to, since they are leading their people, since they're leading the citizens, their followers, they have to be confident, but that confidence has to be combined with the realities around them. The second one, not only demonstrating bounded optimism, but he also demonstrated deliberate calm. Now, by deliberate calm, I mean avoiding overreacting to uncertainty. All the leaders who would assume charge during the times of crisis undeniably would face a lot of uncertainties around them, but they have to demonstrate stability in their leadership style. They have to demonstrate to their followers that things are under control, and at the same time keep working towards the goal they are working for. The third leading the leading mindset which I noticed in the leadership style of Nur Sultan Bayov was flexible decision making. Now, that's very important. By flexible decision making, I mean taking a decision and then not getting too fixated to that decision, because you are dealing with a crisis situation. So taking a decision, then pausing and assessing the internal and the external environment, then anticipating whatever is happening next, and then acting accordingly. And then that acting accordingly might also mean changing the decision which you've taken earlier. So his leadership style has to be flexible, because they are dealing with a crisis situation in the country, specifically if the country has just gained independence from the Soviet Union. Fourth very important one would be demonstrating empathy. No good leader can exist without demonstrating empathy if they are to continue successfully. And by empathy, obviously, I mean putting themselves in the places of their followers, people, and keeping an eye on what's going through, what's going with them, and obviously changing their decisions accordingly. And the last one would be communicating effectively. It goes without saying that all the successful leaders, particularly the leader you're talking about today, Nur Sultan Bayov, who remains in power for decades in their country, they cannot survive, they cannot remain in their positions until or unless they communicate effectively with their nation. And by communicating effectively, I mean thoughtful, frequent communications and providing frequent updates to the country. So that's sort of a brief summary of what I covered today when I went through his leadership style. These were the 5 points which came to my mind. Very happy to be here. I didn't want it to take a lot of time, and I'm looking forward to attending the rest of the session. I'll welcome any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Sobia. For our next speech, I would like to request Professor Dr. Athar Mahmood. He is Vice Chancellor, Islamia University of Bahawalpur. Sir, now over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Uh, First of all, I would like to uh, thank the organizers, the Center for Global and Strategic Studies, in line with their mission and vision. Uh, this is another very uh, appropriate session on leader of within the region of interest and of significance to Pakistan, the Central Asian region, which is a neighboring region of Pakistan, and we have very strong cultural and historical linkages with the region. And our, the development of relationships in the present day is not up to the level as it should be. There's a lot of potential for Pakistan to develop stronger linkages. So this particular session on the leadership phenomena of the Honorable Mr. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev uh, uh, will add to what we can learn and benefit from the style of leadership. So every leader is to be judged um, with the context in which he or she operates. So the looking at the context of the uh, leadership of Mr. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, we see that he emerged as a prominent leader at the time when the Soviet Union was collapsing. Um, in front of our eyes, at the end of 1980s and the early 90s, the Berlin Wall fell, and the superpower, uh, the giant of the space technology, the missile technology, the nuclear technology, collapsed due to the internal contradictions of the state. And that was a very challenging time. Uh, the Kazakhstan was the largest non-Russian Soviet republic. The Kazakh identity had materialized uh, over last 500 years as a strong identity. There were very strong national aspirations. As far back as a century ago, there was a short period of self-rule, 1916, 1917, and under the influence of an expanding Russian empire, the Kazakh identity was there. Uh, Now, this was 2.7 million square kilometers of an area rich in natural resources, yet landlocked and surrounded by two neighbors, giant neighbors, among others, the China and Russia. And as has been aptly explained by the Honorable Ambassador, the context has been explained. So I would like to reiterate that context. Kazakhstan was rich in oil, mineral, and natural resources. And during the connected economy and the managed economy of the Soviet Union, the region of Kazakhstan was used to develop facilities for space exploration and launching and the nuclear technology. So Mr. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev at that time rose to the challenges of the occasion, and in responding to the collapse of the Soviet Union and the Kazakh national aspirations, he took his time. Kazakhstan was almost the last republic to declare its independence from the Soviet Union. So it was a very careful approach. He led his country to the establishment of this independent state. He kept the country united because at that time it was possible, due to the multi-ethnic composition of various republics, to suffer from fragmentation and civil war. So he kept the region, the country united. He had been the member of the Politburo, and his 2 decades of experience in the Communist Party had actually prepared him. He was fully well versed with the structure of the state, the geography and the political geography and political economy of the region. So he started working on consolidating the institutions of the state, the transition to a republican form of representative government over a period of time, the transition to a market economy. So he also, during these major challenges, he also ensured that his country would not fall a victim to terrorist or extremist forces like we saw in several areas in the former Soviet Union, like Chechnya. So he was very much instrumental in making sure that such a fate would not fall to Kazakhstan and as much as he could to other Soviet republics. Then the other thing that he contributed, he became a very positive influence in the region. Kazakhstan was one of the founding members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And as the world is moving to a multipolar world, we see that the potential of the SCO is truly great in view of the rise of China and the reconsolidation of the Russian region. So we will see that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization will emerge as a very powerful bloc, and Mr. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev had the foresight and the vision, and Kazakhstan was one of the founding members. So then coming to the relationship between Kazakhstan and Pakistan, we have strong cultural and historical links. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But the paradox is that we have not been able to develop collaboration and cooperation to the level which was possible in the presence of such strong historical, cultural, and geographical linkages. There is a lot to be desired. There's a lot to be done. We can further develop, and I think such a seminar will allow us to focus more on developing this relationship. Also, I believe there has been a comparison between the Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, and the comparison is very valid. Both were the founding fathers of their nations. However, the contexts and the personalities were very different. So this is not to take away the greatness of either. Each one in their own way, in their own times, responded to the challenges of the times and provided the sort of leadership that their nation needed. But coming to Mr. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, he has demonstrated himself not just to be a politician and a leader of his country, but a true international statesman. So he's of significance. He has shown himself to be a multi-dimensional leader, a genius of a politician and a statesman by virtue of the fact that for more than 3 decades, he has led his country, consolidated and their long-term aspirations and visions, and he has taken decisions which in their own times may have been criticized, may have been thought, there would have been many critics, but the time has proven that his decisions were good for his nation, and he was there to see the good effects of those decisions to materialize. So keeping the context in mind, keeping the history of the region, we must give a lot of accolades to the leadership of Mr. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, and it is truly appropriate that the new capital has been named after him, to give posterity to his name and to recognize his contributions in the generations that will come, because he truly led his nation in a time of so much crisis, and he's truly a role model. And I would once again congratulate the Center for Global and Strategic Studies to have organized this seminar and brought together intellectuals and the Honorable Ambassador of Kazakhstan. So I'm available, and I'm enjoying the various talks being given by researchers and academics and experts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Dear participant, it is very important to give information and awareness about the national leaders to our youth, to know the legacy and the root culture. So we are taking again Dr. Professor Shabbir.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Elbasy Nur Sultan Nazarbayev has an exemplary role in nation making and state building. History of Kazakhstan is and will be directly associated to its founding president Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, who successfully led the country during the most difficult and challenging circumstances of nation making and state building. That was the era of 1990 and onward. In the face of huge regional and global challenges, Kazakhstan has withstood all the hardships successfully. The founding president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, has tremendous services for his nation and state. First and foremost, His Excellency shut down the world's largest nuclear test site on the Kazakh land and gave a message of peace-loving and peacemaking to the world. His peacemaking efforts will be remembered forever. New institutions were established and mechanisms for effective and efficient governance shaped for the embryonic state in the immediate post-Soviet period. A new constitution was given to the independent republic in 1991 and updated and modified under the able leadership of His Excellency Nazarbayev in 1995, 1998, 2007, and 2011, as the state developed and consolidated itself politically. This way, His Excellency put the Republic on a successful trajectory of political, social, and economic transition. The able leadership of the Republic gave an environment of unity, peace, and social harmony to a multi-ethnic society. The interfaith harmony created a conducive environment for national development. The Republic established and developed its armed forces and gave a sense of security to its masses. Within only 3 decades of independence, many observers and analysts agree that Kazakhstan has the brightest prospects in the region. During the decade of 1990s, a catastrophic economic decline prevailed in the former Soviet space, including Central Asia, due to abolishing one economic system and starting transition to entirely a different one. Economic decline was more severe in Kazakhstan. However, the situation was handled masterfully by the Republic's leadership, and since the year 2000, value-added sector in Kazakhstan grew with an average rate of more than 10% during 1999 to 2008. The exemplary economic reforms have yielded in the form of high per capita income for the Republic. New oil and gas pipelines have become operational to Russia and China for export of hydrocarbon resources, earning precious foreign exchange for the Republic. Kazakhstan, under the leadership of Nursultan Nazarbayev, joined the rank of upper middle income countries even almost a decade back with a full mandate of a market economy status. More than 35% of the population has been brought up above the poverty line since 1996. The country enjoyed double-digit growth rates since 2000, and structure of the economy has been diversified to avoid our dependence on a particular sector. The Republic has also diversified its foreign trade, including more non-CIS countries. In 2018, the per capita GDP amounted to more than $26,000, which was just around $5,000 in 1995, according to the World Bank statistics. Territory-wise, the 9th largest country of the world, with immense potential of hydrocarbon resources and precious minerals and metals, has attracted enormous world attention. Importantly, more than 70% of the total FDI inflows to Central Asia has been attracted by the Republic of Kazakhstan due to its economic potential, political stability, and market reforms. This is a sign of trust in the leadership and the system developed by the founding president of the Republic during a period of less than 3 decades. The industrial and innovative development programs initiated under the founding president of Kazakhstan in 2009 have gradually changed the entire structure of the economy. It has given new proportions to a development of national economy. The economic strength has augmented political profile of the Republic at regional and global level. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev always praised the work of national business people and encouraged them to take part in economic activity, which resulted in the growth of a confident middle class in the Republic. He always supported increase in funds for research and development to equip the nation for handling the challenges of modern era. Nazarbayev realized that regional security and development is closely linked to regional cooperation. He, since 1991, remained a firm believer and vocal advocate of regional cooperation as he envisioned that the regional cooperation within Central Asian republics would enable these republics to overcome the challenges associated with the political and economic transition. He fully grasped the reality that regionalism enhances collective bargaining for regional states in global arena. In his book, Kazakhstan Uspatoke Story, published in 1999, which I have translated from Russian into Urdu, Kazakhstan Tarikh ke Aine mein, and being published by the Ministry of Culture and Heritage Islamabad in 2005, Nazarbayev has talked about major powers' involvement in Central Asia. The visionary leader foresaw the engagement of major powers in the region for political and economic influence and therefore advocated a common Central Asian republic's approach towards the major powers to maximize bargaining power. It was also the idea of Nur Sultan Nazarbayev to create a Eurasian Union for capitalizing on the natural resources of the region for inclusive regional development. As early as 1995, Nur Sultan Nazarbayev presented the idea to have a regional economic organization in Eurasia, which materialized in the form of Eurasian Economic Union on 1st January 2015. He has also authored many books to guide his nation, including the above-mentioned book and Kazakhstan on the Eve of 21st Century, which reveals that he was an intellectual of high class. Nazarbayev remained cautious, keeping in view the best national interests while entering in agreements with foreign entities and signing deals with entrusted foreign oil companies. The domestic and foreign policies were framed in order to ensure internal political stability, economic development, and to garner maximum external support. The multi-vector foreign policy was pursued for having foreign relations in all directions, and the Republic assumed increasing importance in the region. Kazakhstan peacefully settled down the border issues with China under the Shanghai Five Forum, and later on played an important role in the consolidation and development of SCO. A prudent foreign policy has been adopted to serve as a bridge for Eurasian integration and to fully utilize its geographical location at the crossroads of Eurasia. The Republic maintained balance in having close and cordial relations with all the three major powers, that is Russia, China, and USA, engaged in the region. Kazakhstan, while maintaining relations with USA and China, did not distance itself from Russia, with which it has long border and historical links. Being member of Eurasian Union, Kazakhstan is also an important partner in Belt and Road Initiative. Relations with EU and other regional and extra-regional states have also been developed on sound footings. Nur Sultan Nazarbayev always gave priority to relations with Pakistan and visited Pakistan soon after independence on February 24, 1992. Many agreements were signed and joint ministerial commission for trade and economic, scientific and technical and cultural cooperation established. He always supported Pakistan's membership in SCO. He congratulated Pakistan on becoming observer of SCO and stated in 2005 that the day is not far off when Pakistan will become full member of SCO, and that has been happened recently. Kazakhstan has become member of important regional and global organizations like UN, OSCE, OIC, SCO, CIS, CU, CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization, European Union, Eurasian Economic Union, uh, and many others. Kazakhstan enjoyed chairmanship of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe for the year 2010 and chairmanship of the OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries, for the year 2011, which was a sign of international confidence and trust in the leadership of the Republic. Establishment and development of a new capital, Astana, from scratch has been yet another achievement of His Excellency Nazarbayev. Not only Kazakh nation, but the world at large will remember his services for his country and nation, for the unity of Central Asian region, and his efforts for peacemaking in the form of denuclearizing its country. With these, I thank you all for your patience. Thank you.
Sir. Now we start the comment session. For this, first of all, I would like to request Major General Dr. Shahid Hashmat, who has also remained Pakistan Ambassador to Sri Lanka, to give some comments. Sir, over to you, Dr. Hashmat, Shahid Hashmat.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First of all, I would like to extend my congratulations and greetings to CGSS for organizing this webinar on such an important event. Since most of the speakers and His Excellency Ambassador of the Kazakhstan himself have very elaborately highlighted the role of President Nur Sultan Nazarbayev in developing Kazakhstan as an independent state after its emergence as an independent country from the Soviet Union. I would like to highlight on the current situation. Traditionally, we have enjoyed very good relations, bilateral relations between Pakistan and Kazakhstan. But as it has been pointed out by some of the worthy speakers, these relations are primarily in the domain of bilateral governmental relations, whereas we have sorry, I couldn't get you. You're saying something? Hello? Should I continue? Yeah. So I was saying that most of these relations are limited to intergovernmental relations. We have very strong historical and cultural ties with all the Central Asian countries, and of course with Kazakhstan as well. There's a need to extend these relations at least in 3 more domains. And primarily, I would say, in the area of people-to-people contact. In the context of the government relations are the relations in the domain of those corporations which are working for the development of the natural resources in Pakistan. I think we need to enhance our relations and seek help from Kazakhstan in developing our oil and gas resources. Pakistan is an energy deficient country. So in many ways, we can benefit from the experience and the knowledge and the expertise which is enjoyed by Kazakhstan, and that's their great advantage. 2 more areas I wish to highlight, and that is commerce and trade. Unfortunately, our current trade level is not very encouraging. There is a great potential and a scope for enhancing bilateral trade between Pakistan and Kazakhstan. Both ways, we need to enhance our exports and imports between these 2 countries. And third, and a very essential to me, very important, is a contact between the youth, people to people, the youth and the students. There's a need to launch uh, very attractive uh, programs of exchange student program or the scholarship program. I do understand that there are some scholarships which are offered by the External Development, External Affairs Division, and there are some scholarships which have been offered by HEC as well. But unfortunately, these scholarships are not being utilized properly. So there's the need to have exchange program between the universities of Pakistan and the Kazakhstan, extending it to students and to the faculties, members, and to the researchers. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir, question is for His Excellency Akan Rakhmetullin.
My question is that as there is huge economic potential for investment in Kazakhstan, so what are the opportunities for entrepreneurs, and especially young entrepreneurs, to invest in the country?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And as I mentioned in my remarks, that investments, mutual investments, are very important for both countries. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, and here I'm less than 1 year, but I have met a lot of entrepreneurs, including young people, in various chambers of commerce and individuals, etc. Many of them are very much interested in investing to Kazakhstan, not investing, but making trade and commerce with Kazakhstan, selling to Kazakhstan and purchasing from Kazakhstan. Of course, more to sell to Kazakhstan. There are a lot of opportunities in both countries, I would say, because Pakistan for us is a very huge market. Kazakhstan market is not that big, but you see we are neighbors with China, with Russia, with much bigger markets and consuming capacities. And there are enormous opportunities, because in terms of, first of all, some textile, agriculture, for example, Pakistani fruits are, I would say, incredibly tasty and demanded in Kazakhstan or further on to Russia, and we try to encourage. And it was rightly mentioned that there are a lot to do in terms of developing trade and economy, particularly bilateral cooperation, economic cooperation, because we have enormous potential. We have very much interested people, but what doesn't give us, the opportunity to develop it? First of all, it's absence of, direct route. Because I can, for example, give you an example. Several months ago, we received a request from Pakistan government to provide wheat, about 300 tons of wheat from Kazakhstan to Pakistan. And the price was about, for ton, it was about maybe $200 per ton. I don't remember exactly, but it was something like that. But in Karachi, the price doubled. You can imagine, per ton, almost doubled. Meaning that, for example, from Kazakhstan, it had to go that amount. You can imagine that 300,000 tons. It had to go to Turkmenistan by railroad, then through Caspian Sea or through Turkmenistan directly to Iran, then through the port to Karachi seaport. And you can imagine how cost increases. If we had, for example, direct route from Kazakhstan through Central Asia and then further on to south to Afghanistan and to Pakistan, it would ease and it would make much more conducive and easy for all, to bring our goods. These are the main problem, the absence of the direct route. All routes we have, they are not cost effective. Of course, much depends on the situation in Afghanistan. We hope that after that peaceful agreement, the situation will improve and we can increase our trade. But honestly speaking, the second reason is, besides, absence of the direct route, commercial route, transit route. It's a lack of information about each other from both sides, I would say, and lack of desire so far. It also can be explained in different ways. For example, I know that traditionally Pakistan trades with the Western countries, with the Gulf countries, with South Asia countries, mostly with them with whom Pakistan has direct route. And back coming to the issue of the delivery routes. Kazakhstan also trades with Russia, with China, with the countries, with the big trade partners with whom we have direct routes. And to make more, to intensify the trade, intensify the economic cooperation between the two countries, we have to find out the niche in both countries, which would, in the current condition, where the transportation cost is very high, that this kind of export and import for both countries would be justified by its necessity, by its demand, in this very condition. And coming back to your question, how we can encourage our young people, encourage entrepreneurs, both entrepreneurs and young entrepreneurs, young people, we have to increase first awareness. We have to send more people. We plan to organize in Almaty a business seminar for Pakistan entrepreneurs, really for young people. And CGSS also was involved through Pakistan commercial department in Almaty, in the embassy of Pakistan to Kazakhstan. We've been involved here, but due to that corona pandemics, we have to postpone that. So to increase the awareness, to increase mutual interest, because people to organize visits, it was also mentioned that we have to increase our cultural cooperation, cultural exchange. We are very much interested to send our people, our students here, and to receiving Pakistani students to Kazakhstan. So far, many Pakistani students studied in Almaty, in other cities, in medical sphere. This is one of the important issues, like to promote like soft power for both countries, to increase our interest, mutual interest among particularly young people, to organize more events, cultural events. We also were planning to organize cultural events in Kazakhstan, and both because we can enrich each other in culture, in terms of culture, in terms of trade, in terms of many other things. And we will be working that. Once the situation is getting better, of course, we will continue. Because, as I mentioned, we plan to organize a movie show here, to bring here some artists, some performers from Kazakhstan to Pakistan. Because though we're neighbors and we're good friends, but our culture is a bit different, very diverse. It's very much interesting. For example, I love Pakistani culture, I love Pakistani music, and I would like that Kazakhstan people would also have opportunity to listen it, to enjoy it directly, independently and immediately from the performance. And vice versa. I know that Pakistani people are very much interested in getting more information, getting more awareness about Kazakhstan culture, tradition, etc. So there are so many issues, so many dimensions of our mutual cooperation in which rich people, so young people also can be involved and can play decisive role. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are having many students with us, and Miss Arusa Salahuddin, she is the international relations student. She has a question for Vice Chancellor Dr. Athar Mahmood. Miss Arusa Salahuddin.
The period of rebirth and revitalization, which give the Kazakh people something to be proud today. What are the leadership qualities he saw in the first president of Kazakhstan?
Okay, excellent question. My own yardstick to measure leaders by is based on a model proposed by Lee Iacocca. Lee Iacocca was an industrial leader of the United States who revitalized the Chrysler Corporation and he wrote a book about crisis of leadership in the United States, in which he identified 9 C's of leadership, the 9 words that begin with C, that encompass the leadership traits. So those 9 C's are in not in any particular order, but they are like communication, curiosity, courage, conviction, character, charisma, common sense, uh, and finally, the last C, the 10th C, he said was crisis. He said that true leadership emerges in the time of crisis. So looking at each of these aspects, when we measure the leadership of Mr. Nursultan Nazarbayev against these yardsticks, we find that he is a very successful leader. He embodies within himself all of these traits, like communication, being able to articulate, charisma, being able to inspire confidence in those around him, to be able to trust his leadership. The competence, the C for competence is to select the right person for the right job. So we see all of these things, common sense, like the decisions that he made for the benefit of his country, to keep it out of any regional conflict, or not to let it fall victim to extremism or terrorism and things like that. So all of these things, and especially when we measure him in the yardstick of crisis, because the entire emergence of his state of Kazakhstan was in the time of tremendous regional and global crisis. And from last 30 years, we see that he steered his country into a very stable position. So now it has become a model of success. So this is my own yardstick, and I would suggest that everyone should use such a yardstick to gauge any particular leader.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would request Dr. Zarmeena Baloch. She is a professor in Islamia University, Peshawar, to give her comment.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. There's a comment here. It's basically on whatever Dr. Athar Mahboob has come up with, like what suggestions he has given. And His Excellency can comment on that as well. Actually, Kazakhstan has actively participated in activities of regional integration and international institution under the leadership of Honorable Nursultan Nazarbayev, and the bricks and foundations settled by him are very finely being taken by his successors and mutually responded by Pakistan. Both states, like there are, as Dr. Athar Mahboob has said, that still there is a little more needed for cooperation. So a little more cooperation is needed in increasing connectivity and looking at the strategically critical curriculum highway, which it could be greatly used for the purpose of trade and connectivity. A little more infrastructure should be expanded, and it needs to be looked at by both the countries. Furthermore, both the states being member of SCO, OIC, and now CPAC, both the states can together change the dynamics of South and Central Asian region, and can further integrate Muslim Ummah, and can play a very bright role together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zarmeena. Now I would like to request Major General Syed Khalid Amir Jaffery for his closing remarks.
Thank you. I would like to thank all the participants in this webinar who gave very useful inputs as far as the relations between Pakistan and Kazakhstan are concerned. I am especially grateful to His Excellency, the Ambassador. The Ambassador is doing an excellent job in Pakistan to promote the relations between Kazakhstan and Pakistan. He's been there. He's been here for about a year or so, but we can see the difference in his approach. I could not help but notice that the two leaders, Quaid-e-Azam, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, were discussed. Both were men of great stature. Both were visionaries. Both were strong men and men of character. Unfortunately for us, we lost the Qaid very early. And Kazakhstan was very lucky that they had His Excellency Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, who steered the country through all types of difficult crises. I would also like to mention that Kazakhstan is also now laying stress on the cultural aspects, as was highlighted by His Excellency. Dr. Shabbir and myself, we were supposed to go to Kazakhstan on a conference for on Al-Farabi. But because of this COVID-19, of course, the conference was postponed. So we hope that such conferences are held in future. We can have these conferences in Pakistan or Kazakhstan to promote the cultural aspects so that people and the students should know what are the cultural linkages between the two countries. So once again, thank you, all of you, for participating in this webinar and giving us very useful information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all the participants and the panelists.